I ordered 8x8 aluminum pans with lids so that way I could make the spinach and ricotta stuffed shells that everyone loved during Easter and have for other nights for meals. These will freeze up nicely and I can bake them in the oven. You will need 32 ounces of ricotta cheese. You will need 4 cups of mozzarella cheese. I am making a fairly large portion for this because I'm going to make some gluten-free and some in the wheat shells, so that way I have meals for myself. You will need 2 cups of parmesan cheese. You will need 3 eggs. 2 tablespoons of basil. Half teaspoon of salt. Mix this all together. I am using half a bag of gluten-free penne noodles. I'm going to make some gluten-free and some wheat, and I'm going to make separate dishes for it. 6 cloves of garlic. You can mince them up or slice them up. I am going to use the whole box of jumbo shells. While the noodles are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and start on the spinach part. Drizzle about a good tablespoon of olive oil on the pan. Heat it up to medium heat. Then add your sliced or minced up garlic to the pan. Stir them around. You don't want them to get brown or burnt, so you just want to keep an eye on them. And then we're going to go ahead and add in our spinach. And I am using frozen spinach for this dish. You can use fresh, but I had a bag that was frozen in the freezer, so I want to use that up for this dish. The bag that I'm using is an 8-ounce bag. It was originally not frozen, but I did freeze it. It still worked perfectly fine for this. I'm using the entire bag for this, so that way I have enough for all the jumbo shells and for some for my gluten-free dish as well. You want to cook the spinach down. You don't want to overcook it. You still want it to have like a nice bright green color, but not a brown color. So don't overcook it, but just soften it. Now add the sauteed spinach and garlic to the cheese mixture, and then you're going to go ahead and mix it all together. Once I'm done mixing it all together, I'm going to take an 8x8 baking dish and I'm going to spray it down with some pan spray. And then I'm also going to take a smaller dish as well and spray it for gluten-free noodles. I am using Walmart tomato basil garlic pasta sauce, and I'm just going to line the bottom of each baking dish with it. That way the shells will not stick to it to the bottom, or even the gluten-free pasta shells as well will not stick to the bottom. Even though I sprayed it with pan spray, it just gives it a nice layer when you bake it in the oven. Just evenly spread the pasta sauce on the bottom of the baking dish. I'm going to add the gluten-free penne noodles to the small baking dish first. That way I am touching all gluten-free first and not cross-contaminating things. I wish I had a better shot of this. I'm sorry. But so I am stirring the gluten-free pasta in with the pasta sauce since I don't have gluten-free pasta shells to stuff with. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the cheese stuffing with spinach and garlic, and I'm going to add a layer of that on top of the gluten-free one and kind of make it like a lasagna layer in a way. I'm going to try to spread out the cheese mixture as best as possible on top of the gluten-free noodles, and then I'm going to add another layer of the pasta with some pasta sauce on top as well. Like, again, kind of like a lasagna layer, you know, where you do the noodle cheese stuffing sauce and all that. So I'm just going to repeat that step, and then I'll put some more pasta sauce on top. I also did a gluten-free one as well in the aluminum tin pan, so that way I could freeze it and then use it for another night for dinner and then just bake it in the oven. I wrote on it saying gluten-free, that way I would know which one is which. I used a good 3.5 jars of this basil garlic pasta sauce that I got from Walmart. So now I'm starting the wheat shells, and I am lining my aluminum tin pans with the pasta sauce, and I'm going to go ahead and start stuffing my shells. I ended up using about the entire box of shells. I want to say I had about 3 shells left over, and my son thoroughly loved eating them with some little just pasta sauce, so he was happy with that. So I made a good amount of these shells, one for nighttime for dinner tonight, and then I did 2. And then I got 2 trays of the aluminum tin pans. That way I could freeze them and put them in the freezer and then cook them on other nights for dinner. It's nice to have these easy grab freezer meals because you never know. Sometimes you just might be in a pinch to where you have too many activities going on or too much going on in one day. And then, you're like, oh my goodness, what do I make? Oh, I can pull this out and then just pop it in the oven. Now I'm going to cover the top of the stuffed shells with some pasta sauce. And when you go to bake this, you're going to cover it with aluminum foil and bake for 25 minutes. And you're going to bake it at 375. Then once you're done baking it for the 25 minutes, you're going to remove the foil. And then you're going to sprinkle the top with some mozzarella cheese. You don't have to, but if you would like to, you can definitely do that. My kids loved it that way. My husband loved it that way. It was really good. So then you're going to bake it for 10 to 15 minutes until it's cooked all the way through. Now I would recommend pulling these out and letting them thaw in the refrigerator before baking in the oven. I have not tried this yet, but that's how I would recommend to do it. If you are in a pinch what to cook for dinner, you can pull this out directly from the freezer and cook it in the oven without letting it thaw, but it will take longer to cook it that way because it will have to thaw and cook all the way through in the oven. So I would definitely pull it out the night before that you plan on cooking it and let it thaw in the refrigerator and then cook it the next day when you want to eat it for dinner. I really like these aluminum tin pans that I got from Amazon because the tops as well, I can bake those in the oven. Some of the other ones that have had in the past were ones that you did not want to bake in the oven. These you can bake in the oven, so it's nice. That way I don't have to put aluminum foil on top as well, and I can just use this. These are good in the freezer for up to 3 months, and this is perfect. Now I have a few meals that I can use when it gets really busy, and also now that we're getting close to the end of school year and summer will be here. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.